I want to bring in Delaware's Governor, Matt Meyer. Delaware is one of 5 states declaring this impending crisis a state of emergency. Governor, thank you for being here. I know you were listening. Rosa in Texas, where they're preparing for this surge of need. The woman here in New York whose SNAP benefits are running out. She's worried about feeding her grandson. Is that indicative of what's happening in your state?
Well, here in Delaware, it's a little different. Let me just first by saying, as an American, this is embarrassing. I have not been in politics my whole life. I was a school teacher 10 years ago before I started to run for office. And this is just embarrassing. A few days ago, NVIDIA surpassed the $5 trillion market cap mark, right? A $5 trillion company. We live in a wealthy country. We live in a wealthy society. Delaware is a wealthy state and a wealthy community. Houston is a wealthy city. We are not feeding our people, and that's poor leadership. So what we did in Delaware is a few days ago, I've been in office for 9 months, declared a state of emergency for the first time. We're moving money around, and we're intending to provide SNAP benefits, full 100% benefits to anyone who qualifies starting next week. We're standing up a new statewide program, and we're going to continue that for the month of November for as long as the shutdown lasts.
Can you talk about the real world impact? And obviously there's the humanitarian part of it. We live in a land of plenty. You can easily make the argument that people should not go hungry. But as a former school teacher, what's the impact on a child, and we know this, who goes to school hungry? What's the impact on a worker who maybe doesn't eat because they want to give the food to their kids and they're supposed to go and do their jobs? What's the real world trickle down impact besides the humanitarian crisis?
Yeah, it's absolutely devastating to families across our community and across the country. We are in a global competition, and this is a very good way to set America back. Also, in terms of one of the first ways I heard about the pending SNAP cliff starting in November was from retailers. Was not just from the big supermarkets, but from the smaller mini marts where people go to use their SNAP benefits. That those retailers are also economically hurting. One retailer told me about a quarter of their revenue comes from SNAP benefits. And were those benefits to go away, it would be devastating to economies across Delaware. So that's why we stood up. We put a state of emergency in place. I've made a promise to the people of Delaware that we're going to do everything we can to work with Washington. The president made a promise to bring down costs, but Americans and Delawareans can't eat political promises. So we're doing what we can to fulfill that promise to bring down cost of health care as much as we can and make sure people have food.
I wonder if you're having conversations with other Democratic governors and what would be your message to governors in general? I mean, not everyone has a state the size of Delaware. Maybe not everybody has the financial ability to move things around. But do you have a message and have you had those conversations?
Well, first of all, one thing we did is we looked at what the state of emergency enabled us to do is look at every line in our budget and say, OK, this line to build a parking lot. Is that more valuable than making sure our most vulnerable can eat? You know, another line for various financial assistance and other programs. Can we reduce that amount slightly so that for at least the first few weeks of November, we can provide valuable food assistance? That's what we're doing here with our state budget. In addition to just calling on people and saying, hey, we are Americans here, no matter what your political persuasion, no matter where in the country you live, urban, suburban, rural, there almost certainly is a food bank. There almost certainly is a food bank. A food pantry, there's a church, there's a synagogue, there's a mosque, there's somewhere people in need go. And let's make sure we come together as Americans. When leaders are failing, let's make sure we come together and do what we can with dollars or with donated food to make sure everybody in our community can at least have 3 healthy meals.
So nobody knows how long this is going to go on. The president today recommending getting rid of the filibuster, something that even top Republicans have said repeatedly in the past is a bad idea just in general. How long can you hold out, first of all? And second of all, do you have any insights from talking to members of your congressional delegation how long this might last?
Well, you know, the last couple of weeks, what I've seen is leadership in Washington that's focused on a gold ballroom and not your dining room, not your classroom, and not the community's emergency room. And so it's very hard to see a way out of this shutdown as long as the leadership is focused on those things. As long as if our president is really focused on picking some kind of fight and fighting a war in Venezuela, while literally Americans don't have food on their table, it's hard for us to see a way out. My message to our two senators and Congresswoman here in Delaware is to stand strong. We don't want to address this food crisis by then creating a health insurance crisis. My wife is an emergency room physician. She is in an emergency room right now. And the situation there is also facing a cliff because we're looking at millions of Americans, millions of American working families who are going to see their premiums double and are going to lose their health insurance, which means they're going to go to emergency rooms rather than primary care, which is not just bad for the health of them and their families and their children, it's bad for all of us. So I think we need to stand strong. I think there's a core of America that believes that food and health care in this day and age should be affordable for everyone, and we need to stand together to make sure that's true, even if the president isn't standing with us.
Governor Matt Meyer, thank you so much. It's good to see you, sir.
Thank you.